Welcome back. This week, we're honored to be guests at the 19th annual Concours d'Elegance on a rainy weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Arthritis Foundation and the Cincinnati Park Board have joined forces, becoming partners in the presentation of this unique automotive event. Visitors can view over 200 collector cars in 16 different classes, ranging from pre-war classics and antiques to modern and exotic automobiles. And when you combine a great show with a great charity like the Arthritis Foundation, then you've got a winning combination.
Concours d'Elegance was started about 19 years ago to help raise money for children and adults who have arthritis, to improve their quality of life through programs and services, also to help us fund valuable research aimed at finding the cause and cure of over 100 different types of arthritis.
And over the years, it's always been associated with the Arthritis Foundation, but this location is a bit new.
Yes, we're very excited about this location. This is brought about by a partnership between the Arthritis Foundation and the Greater Cincinnati Park Board. And we're hoping to reach a broader community with this beautiful setting and even a better class of cars.
How many cars do you expect to have this year?
About 175 or so. This show has as many wonderful museum quality examples of automobiles, but it's just not quite as well known here in Cincinnati.
We'll see if we can help that.
We have anywhere from 175 to 200 cars each year. We feature a different marque each year. This year we're Alfa Romeo.
And your goal is to make this the premier event in the Midwest?
I think we already are, but yes, we want to get on the map, really. It's a top-notch show, but it's been a well-kept secret over the years. And every year when people come from out of town, they're surprised at the quality of the cars we have here at this show.
Well, it's a stunning event. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. Come back again next year.
So Lee, how long have you been coming to this event?
Since 1991. And I used to come here actually earlier than that, but as an exhibitor since 1991.
What other cars do you have?
I have a 1947 Cadillac that I've exhibited on a number of occasions, and it's also done very well.
But this one's sort of special to you. Tell me about it.
When I was 19 years old in 1959, I found a 1933 Lincoln in a garage, and I was able to buy it for 50 bucks. So, well, of course, it didn't run, but I loved it. And I stored it hoping someday to get it fixed, and the barn burned down. So I lost my 1933 Lincoln, and I've been lusting after them ever since. And finally came upon this one that I'm standing next to now.
Well, this is a beauty. It probably cost more than 50 bucks, but
I did have to pay more than 50 bucks, unfortunately.
What do you think of the display?
I like it. It's a very nice show. It represents all types of automobiles, all years, practically every interest.
Hey, Tom, tell me a little bit about the history of this car.
Well, the car, Briggs Cunningham was an individual that wanted an American car to win at Le Mans. The best he ever did at Le Mans was third. He did reasonably well for a private individual going up against the world of Fiat, Jaguar, Mercedes-Benz. Cars powered by Chrysler Hemi. He got the best of everything at the time to produce all the cars. Could not get the disc brakes. The disc brake people, who I think was Girling at the time, had signed a deal with Jaguar, and only the Jags could have the disc brakes. It was the only thing that kept him from winning the race. This event probably is the third best event in the United States and possibly the world as a car show. It's very well done.
This is a Richard Petty called Saturday Night Special. It's a prototype car that Richard built for a kit car program that Chrysler had. It was built in 1973. Drivers like Dale Earnhardt was one of the test drivers on it. Marty Robbins drove it later on.
Hi, are you Mr. Cody?
Yes.
Dave Reevy, congratulations, best of class.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to Cincinnati and the Concours d'Elegance. Behind me, cars are gathering for one of the show's unique events, the Countryside Tour and Garden Party. Normally, more than 100 cars and their owners would take part in a tour of the scenic Queen City before gathering at a reception and automotive art auction to raise money for the Arthritis Foundation. The steady rain this year, however, has kept some of the fair weather owners at home. Even so, it's a good opportunity to see many of these classics and exotics being driven. Which brings us to our next story about a ride I took in an original 427 Competition Cobra. This car was used by Shelby American Racing during the '66 season as a backup car to the GT40s at Le Mans. Some of you may remember this from the pilot series. Because of the incredible number of requests we've had to replay this story, we decided to unleash the beast one more time. So take the china out of the china cabinet, crank the audio up, and get ready to rumble. Here we are at the DeSoto Speedway down in Bradenton, Florida, with one of these awesome cars, the 427 Cobra, and its lucky owner, David Lobenberg, who actually has this and a couple other beauties. But today we're going to talk about this masterpiece, possibly the most awesome, powerful sports car ever built. David, you're a lucky man.
Well, you know, there's a couple other guys that have one, but this one's a little special.
It's a full race.
Full Competition Cobra, dry sump oil system. One of three.
One of three.
Right.
It actually has a race history of sorts?
It has a race history. The car number is 3020, and it was originally built and taken to Europe to be a backup car to the GT40 cars at Le Mans, and it's documented in the SAC registry. Also, the car's had a sordid history of drivers and historical events and whatnot. At one time, the car was painted yellow with a big black stripe over it. I mean, a big black X, and I've been fortunate enough to document that, so I'm real happy about having that photograph. I don't believe it's been seen by too many
Wow.
people.
The competition version, the full race version, had certain differences from the SC, the semi-comp, or some what people call the street competition, or the regular, just the plain old 427 Cobra, if there is such a thing. It had the wider rear flares and
Right.
bigger tires. It also had the side pipes.
Right. Oddly enough, people, the history of the car dates back to when Carroll Shelby was originally building them. They were pretty much all comp cars. But as with these days, and as most days, you know, racers run short of funds. And one of Carroll's friends suggested that they document the cars for street use, and therefore they came up with the SC version. But some were specifically set aside for comp cars at that time, and this is one of them.
And this is a 65, but titled in 66, as
That's
I understand.
correct. That's correct.
They say this thing was built on a couple fundamental all-American premises at the time, and that was that there ain't no substitute for cubic inches, and that if a big engine's good, a bigger engine's better. And this was sort of Carroll's dream to build this car.
That's correct. Basically, they just took the 289 chassis and modified the body to hold bigger tires and a little beefier suspension.
They
And
put bigger tubes on it,
bigger tubes.
I believe. And the thing really under this aluminum body is largely a couple rails and a huge engine.
That's truly it. The racers of those days have my blessings for the amount of arm power they had to use to steer these cars to victory.
So David, take me through the interior of a full comp Cobra.
Well, basically, as again, there really isn't a lot of difference between the true comp Cobra and the street version, other than this particular car, when they did the historical racing with it back in the early 80s, they were required to put a fuel fire system in it, which you can tell by the center red knob.
Yeah.
And then, of course, behind that is a fire extinguisher. So it's been slightly modified to run in today's vintage races. But other than that, it was pretty much standard. This is the package.
Quite a shifter. Points forward. I guess you need that for the lack of elbow room in there.
Exactly. What it is, to be honest with you, is a 65 Mustang shifter turned around backwards. And Carroll was very ingenious to use whatever he could from Ford Motor Company at the time.
Yeah, ingenious is a great word. The Comp Cobras, this whole back end is gas tank. That's a
Over 42 gallon
42 gallon tank. Wow. And I
Yeah.
imagine it got great mileage, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I don't think mileage was a concern of the day.
Well, it's a 427 side oiler. Let's have a look at it.
Okay, let's take a peek.
Take me through it, David.
Well, the thing that makes this car really unusual, and I get a lot of questions about this, is this filler cap right here. They always wonder, why is there two filler caps on this car? Well, being a dry sump oil system, the oil is not in the oil case. The oil is kept in a separate tank and it's pumped through the engine. It makes it a lot safer, and it also adds horsepower. Today, all the Winston Cup cars that you see running around on the Winston circuit, they're all dry sump oil cars.
Well, and as much as they spend at an angle, you probably have to have that.
Exactly. And other than that, it's a 427 slide oiler, aluminum head. It's just pretty much the way it was back in 1967.
Cranking out what kind of horsepower?
This car has never been dyno tuned, but I would say it's in the area of about 550, 600 horsepower, and probably the rear wheels upwards of 350 to 390.
Spectacular. You know, with being the race version, she's got the big wide tires on back, and those aren't narrow on front. Wired on knockoffs too.
Everything was done for safety back then, even, and the car was delivered originally. This particular color is called Ragoon Red. Most of the cars were just left aluminum, and the number 13 was also part of the original paint scheme for this car. So when it was restored and it was authenticated by Dave Durrell, this is how the car came out of restoration, I guess about 10 years ago.
Wow. Let's see, we're on a track. You don't suppose we could take it for a spin, do you?
I suppose we could. I think Carroll would like that.
I think he would. Let's do this one for Carroll. What do you
Okay,
say?
great. Let's go.
There's simply no way to describe the sensation of riding in a 427 Comp Cobra. David never pushed the car to its limits, but we did do a few fast laps. The Cobra is an animal, capable of generating incredible G-forces. On this half-mile oval, I had trouble keeping my head up straight because of the car's awesome ability to accelerate, brake, and corner. In fact, the tamer street version, called the 427 SC, is capable of accelerating from 0 to 100 miles an hour and then braking back to 0 again in 13.8 seconds. 30 years later, only a handful of production sports cars have ever bettered that time.
And that's what Carroll's all about.
Well, we've proven that this mustache is not Cobra-proof.
No, I didn't think that was all about. You don't have enough wax in your whole...
The experience of my life, David. Wow.
Well, it was fun for me,
Whoa.
too. Every time I get in this car, it's an experience.
Heart pounding.